Hey everybody, welcome back. Who's ready to finish this Spider-Man? Now last time you guys might remember I erased all the lines. Well, I wanted to go ahead and add his suit lines in here so I can make it kind of as a guide to show me where the blue is on his suit, because this is the traditional red and blue suit. You know, now that I think about it, it's funny, but I see the advantage of them going to the black suit. The whole Venom thing. You know, actually, I know where that came from. I'll share the story with you in a little bit. But I grabbed myself a plethora of different colors. Again, from all sorts of marker families here. So I basically grabbed myself a light blue, a medium blue, and a dark blue for shading, remember? And I got a lighter red and a darker red. We're going to start with our lighter colors first. And I fixed the eyes. I don't know if you noticed, but I took a minute. So before you guys got here, I decided to fix those. Because it's weird. I don't know if it's a vision thing for me, but I'll just get vulnerable with you guys right here. I like drawing faces a lot. And in my years and years of experience, I've come to notice that sometimes I screw up where the eyes are. And how weird is that? How basic, right? Now, interestingly enough, faces aren't symmetrical, but usually drawn faces are reasonably symmetrical. And I don't know, again, I've never worn glasses. Well, that's a lie. In my 30s, I was working in a warehouse and I decided that I was going to start wearing glasses. Actually, you know what? I did come to a point where I thought I needed glasses. One of two things happened. Either I needed them or I thought I needed them. Because, you go to your optometrist. Optometrist? Yeah. The glasses guy. And I guess he gave me a prescription, but my eyes actually got better. Having the glasses on was great because we didn't wear safety glasses as part of our PPE back in the day. And I was always worried, because it had happened a few times where chunks of metal had fallen from the racks as I was operating my forklift. And the chunks of metal had nearly fallen in my eye once or twice. And I was just like, sweet Lord, I don't want to go blind. So I started wearing those glasses. But then it's weird because, like I said, either I didn't need them, because, doctors sometimes, I can tell you guys some stories. Doctors can okey doke you. I don't want to say I completely distrust the medical system, but they do call it practicing medicine, people. Doctors get it wrong sometimes. And I've met a few. Well, anyway, I don't wear glasses. I feel blessed that I don't have to wear them. All of my kids got my ex-wife's size. They all wear glasses. Sorry, kids. I do remember, though, like when I got into my 40s and I was having some trouble with blurry vision. So I went to the doctor and he says, well, yeah, you don't need glasses yet, but you might. And I'm like, hey, maybe I won't. And he just looked at me and he goes, you do realize that your iris and all that jazz, your inner workings of your eye, that's a muscle, right? And I was like, well, I guess, whatever. And he goes, and muscles kind of degenerate as you get older. He says, there will come a day where you will need glasses. And I don't know, in my naivete, I was crushed. I was like, really? But it's no big deal. No big deal. Because we all get older. I was just telling my sister-in-law, she recently had a birthday. She's like, oh, I feel so old. And then she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm like, tell you what, I like getting older. I really do. Like I said, I'm in my 50s. And it's just different. It's not the same as I was when I was in my 30s. Even my 40s. Every generation has its ups and downs, but I shouldn't say generation. What am I trying to say? Anyway, I just am enjoying the journey. I like where I'm at. And probably, I hope when I hit my 60s someday, I'll like that too. Like I was saying in another video, my mom is in her 70s and she's still very active. Like she's constantly outside, like gardening and stuff. I have to tell her to come in the house. She'll just be all winded, and of course I don't let her do any like extreme lifting or anything. As you can see, this is all pretty basic. It's just, I think I could have gone with a lighter color in retrospect. Remember when we were doing the Judge Dredd and I went with the orange and it kind of paid off? Because as this is settling into the paper, it's turning darker. I don't care. I got to work around with this. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Let's continue. So I was doing my inner critic thing. I was complaining about how I screw up faces sometimes. I don't want to say I screw them up. I'm just not as consistent as I wish I was. But the more you draw, guys, the better off you get at it, and you figure things out. A buddy of mine went to an animation college in Canada. I believe it was Sheridan Art College. And they learned all sorts of cool stuff. And it was a 4-year, you guys, it's a 4-year college. I had never heard of it, of course, because I'm from the States. And I met a ton of cool guys guys and gals that went there. But I asked him, because we were talking to animation, because I've tried to animate, and animation is hard. You've got to push through. And I'm a pretty good illustrator. And I remember asking him, I'm like, how did you figure it out? Because this guy was fantastic. He was really good at it. And he told me, he said, yeah, somewhere, I think it was his second year in college, he had resolved to he said, I locked myself in my grandparents' basement and I just drew every day. And he said, and then something clicked, something broke. and he had a breakthrough. Then after that, he says, once I got it, I got it. And I was like, wow, dude, good for you. But again, it's applied effort. There's a lot of videos out there that talk about effort versus what people call talent. I want to make a little gap in there for that finger. I don't know if you can see that. But basically, it's just work. You just make it work. You get in there, you make it happen, you do it. Now, I know that's a very pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get it done kind of way to look at it, but it makes you wonder, have you tried? And I'll be honest, I think I can apply myself even more as an artist. We can always get better. Like even when we've reached a certain amount of mastery, we can always get better at what we do. Case in point, driving a car, all of us drive. Well, most of us drive. Maybe there's some people that choose not to drive because they live in the city, or they're just terrible drivers, or they have anxiety or something. Takes all, there's all kinds of reasons, all different kinds of lifestyles. I accept you all, good and bad drivers alike. But when it comes to driving, there's levels of driving. Just because you're a pretty decent driver, the next level up to that would, maybe be CDL, driving a big truck, or doing what they do in NASCAR, driving at really, really insane speeds. That's pretty cool. And that's fast. It only took us, 10 minutes or whatever. But there's always room to improve. Now I'm going to leave that alone for now. I'm going to block in my light color, my light blue first, just so we can kind of say that, yay, just kind of see what it looks like. Because again, for me, there's a big payoff in getting color in there. Can't explain why, but I love it. Oh, you know what? I was supposed to leave that white. Dang it. Oh well. We'll fix it. There's always a fix. There's always a workaround, you guys. Cool. Now this is extremely light, because what I did right with my my blue, which is what I should have done with my red. But that's okay. That's okay. I forgive myself. As long as you guys forgive me. There's such a stigma about getting things right and being perfect, and the topic we've been talking about, rest and finding time for yourself to rest and relax. I think we talked about being responsible for our families, because if we don't have enough energy for them, we're just going to go through the motions and be part-time dad or whatever, and that's never good. Part-time husband. You want to be fully invested, right? Well, you got to take care of yourself. I think the first step is to recognize that you're getting stressed out or burnout. And I think a lot of people do. A lot of people realize, oh boy, this job really sucks, or yeah, I'm really, I'm not doing so good, but then nobody takes action on it at that point. So recognizing it and stopping. Experts say that a good thing to do would be to cut out extra stuff at that point, trying to regroup. And the general word for that is setting better boundaries. Some of us are yes people. I think of Jim Carrey in that movie, the yes man. And he was like, no, But honestly, there's times where you guys got to say no. It's like, do you have to go to that party? Oh, I got to go to that party because I want to make a good impression. And you don't. Okay, right now I'm using my darker color, and I'm coming in. It's more like a brick red, and it's really hard to discern. I mean, I can see it on the video, but just layer that in there. And even if it doesn't show up as good, remember the markers, you can layer. You layer the same color and it's gonna get darker. So there's that. So the first step, recognize and pause. If you realize that you're burning out, audit your energy. And then I guess step 2 would be to actually rest. They talk about sleep being very important, making sure that you get the amount of sleep that you get. I think the typical average is the 8-hour. I've always functioned on less. It does make me a better person. it makes me more prone to being stressed out, I think. Because if I'm not getting enough sleep, it does affect your thinking and your judgment and so many things, you guys. Making sure you get what I call old man naps. I don't nap much, but when I do nap, I'm either sick or, something's going on where I know I didn't get enough rest. Right now I have kind of I don't want to say nocturnal lifestyle because I don't want to misrepresent myself. Oh, I'm out of frame. I'm so sorry. I keep doing that. Please forgive me. Please don't tune out. I'm just adding where natural shadows would be here. So make sure you're getting enough sleep as you are in part 2 when you're resting. One of the things that might be a good deal is to leave work at work. And that can be hard for some of us guys, especially if you're on call, if you're like a manager, if you're in a managerial position and you can't really afford to not be, like if you work for a business that's 24/7 and you're a problem-solving guy, like you're in IT or something and you have to be available, that sucks. What I would recommend is maybe you could trade off time. Even when I worked in psych, we had an on-call rotation. So, it afforded somebody the opportunity to just disconnect. I think another idea would be to get out into nature. Believe it or not, like I have confidently asserted in other videos that I am an indoorsman. I really am. My home is my castle. But to my detriment, body needs that sun. See, the cool thing is, I'm just going to interrupt myself here. See, using a darker color to really highlight where the muscle groups are going to be, isn't that cool? It's really subtle. Like there's no hard lines in there. See, that's why I do this, This is where my technique, like you got the dark here. And depending on where I throw my dark red, I'm going to actually throw more dark blue in over here. So get good sleep, leave work at work, go outside, reset your nervous system. On a spiritual aspect, not to get preachy or anything, the Bible talks a lot about rest. God talks a lot about resting. I mean, it was so important that God set aside a day of the week where he says, 6 days shall you work, and the 7th you're going to rest. That's why the Jewish people have a Sabbath, which is technically on a Saturday. I know Christians typically do it on a Sunday, but I think it doesn't matter what day you pick. What if you work the weekends? Are you out of favor with God? Well, no. I mean, come on. Use some common sense. God gave us sense, right? Use it. You don't have to blindly adhere to. It's like saying, I can only go to church I can only think about God on Sunday. I can only go to church on Sunday. No, come on. That's silly. Think about God every day. So anyway, we got rest and restore. And I guess the third part of burnout is rebuilding, getting back into a good space, a good energy. And again, it comes back to boundaries, saying no, protecting your time off. Like if you've established something with the family, like you've made some plans, like family plans, and something comes up at work, it takes courage, you guys. I know this as a recovering people pleaser and yes man. Hey, can you come into the office? Or hey, can you do this? Can you run down to the plant? And oh, you live closer. Can you do, it's so easy to go, all right, because you want to get in good with your boss. Trust me, you guys, take that time with your family. You're not going to get that back. I know you tell yourself that. You tell yourself, oh, I'm going to make up that time. But maybe that time will never come. And I'm not trying to be a doom and gloom, but respect your commitments. I think your kids, your family will be blessed because of it. All right. This is cool. Sorry for cutting. Gosh, man. I don't want to widen it too much because, but I hope you guys, I love doing this aspect of the drawing. This is what is super rewarding for me. Like, I don't know if you guys can feel it, but like, this feels really cool. I did a coloring page for somebody one time, and I got in and I mean, coloring is, it is my strong suit. And people were going nuts. They're like, wow, how did you, this wasn't even in that line wasn't even there. Why did you put that in there? And I'm like, I just, I know it was there. And again, that's what I'm good at. I'm gonna brag on myself a little bit. So one of the things I want to do here is I'm going to stop using a normal marker, and I'm going to reach over to my right where all of my like shader markers are. Remember, I don't get rid of my crappy markers. I hold on to them. And what I do is I mark them. I took a white paint marker and I marked it on the top so that it doesn't get confused with the rest of them. Then what I do is I come in here, and I already tested this ahead of time, and it's not gonna work. Hey, all right, that's all. That's our show for tonight. God bless. Drive safe. Nope, I'm kidding. I'm gonna try it again. Maybe if I flip it. Let's see. This one was working earlier. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, again, it's not real consistent, but it does make a little bit of shadow line in there. Just something soft. See, because what I want to do is I want to make it subtle between this. Now that's just one technique I could use. I choose to do that because I don't want to give up hope on my markers. I want to give them some purpose, give them a good quality of life before they go to marker heaven, before I get rid of them. They go to that big trash can in the sky. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a little bit on Spidey's face here now. Now, you guys might have noticed in the background, I kind of put a surface here, because what I was originally going to do, I was going to get a color and just surround it, but I got other plans. Got other plans for this. So, perspective is not something I'm really good at, but you should try to be. And so I wanted to put him on a surface. I think that grounds him in, so like he's on a rooftop or something. Or something, I'll say. Okay, that was our reds right there. And as you can see, that brick red in there on top of the other red, man, it pops, right? Now, we did our lighter, kind of like our lighter colors, then we're gonna add darker, then we're gonna add darker, and then what's really counterintuitive is like if I wanna do highlights, I'm gonna come in here and do highlights later as like one of the last things to do. So where was I at talking about burnout? I was talking about setting boundaries, right? I think one of the things that, we say no a lot to things, the Yes Man movie was right about, is we gotta say yes to the right things. We gotta introduce reintroduce like really good activities back into our life. And again, if you have a family, that, that's a no-brainer. Schedule some family time. Do something cool with the wife and kids. Date nights are not stupid, you guys. They are essential to having a healthy relationship with your wife or your husband. Reconnecting and just staying connected, because you can grow apart. You might not think it's going to happen to you, but it does. It happens to the best of people out there. See where I put that dark in there? Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mirror that with it following the abs right here. So, and again, I'm not going to go 6-pack it in here. I don't need to. It's a suit, right? Remember that. Keep that in mind. Because I think a lot of times it's like, yeah, I got to show he's really ripped. It's like, nah, dude, you don't. It's a suit. It's all good. And doing this, I can see why. I can see why they went to, oops. You see that? I went outside the line there. Don't tell anybody. Tell no one. You're part of the inner circle, so I know I can trust you. Anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm minimizing the amount of light and reflection, just gradually. Well, anyway, talking about the suit, I don't find his suit very confusing, but I wonder if certain people did, because in the 80s, you had a little thing called the Secret Wars, and there was this creature, this godlike entity called the Beyonder. And in Marvel Comics, there's all sorts of godlike entities, because that's, in order to have a threat, you have it be like really uber, whatever you want to say. Like Thanos. Thanos wasn't just a regular guy. He was like crazy strong, his race of beings, of which he might have been one of the last. Well, anyway, I digress. So this creature called the Beyonder, who is like a godlike entity, pokes a hole into our universe and looks into it and sees all sorts of really cool stuff, but he fixates on Earth. And the storyline goes where he ends up taking chunks of Earth, and actually not just Earth, but a part of the Earth. Because I think before the heroes are taken, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 square miles of Boulder, Colorado disappears, like up into the sky. Like, it's just really weird. Why he settled on Boulder, I don't know. Colorado's beautiful, that's why. I've driven through there. Anyway, so what they do is they make this, the Beyonder makes this crazy patchwork kind of world with all these chunks from all these different planets and holds it together, like that could work. But again, it's kind of fantastic. It's kind of cool. And while Spider-Man's there, they again, you've got a team up of all the greatest heroes. And I'm not just talking Avengers, I'm talking everybody, but there was a main core of, villains and heroes. And then there was a third group. Well, anyway, I digress. Spidey and a lot of the typical Avenger people are goofing around in some alien lab. And one of the heroes, I think it's a female hero, she changes her costume. And Spider-Man goes, "Oh, that's really cool. Where'd you go?" "Oh, it's this machine over here." She describes it, but he's typical Peter Parker. He's not paying attention. And he goes and he downloads this new suit, and basically it turns him black. Actually, it's just like this black ball appears, so he goes and he touches it. And he goes, "Yeah, it's that machine right over there." And she goes, "Oh, no, that's not the one I used." So, but it changes his suit, if you follow my meaning. Well, then we find out it's a symbiote we find out that it's actually Venom, that he didn't have a name back then. There was a short-lived Spider-Man comic called The Web of Spider-Man, and in the very first episode, that's where they have the whole scene where, you know, he realizes it's a symbiote, he's in trouble, and it reacts to the loud sounds. So he goes to the belfry. That's true to the comics. You know, he goes to a belfry, and the sound is deafening, and it's going to kill him. And then I don't remember a whole lot of the other part of the story, but Peter Parker nearly dies. But that's where Venom came from. And then I guess there was like a chunk of the suit that Reed Richards took, because again, the Fantastic Four were there in this Secret Wars. And it was under lock and key. When he, you know, they realized it was a symbiote, they were like, ooh, this thing could spread. But then one of the many times they fought Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom sent a little probe thing and busted it out. It was a jailbreak for Venom. So it was kind of cool though, because back in those days it wasn't Venom. It was like, you could call him Proto-Venom, you know, early Venom. But he was flat. I remember him moving around like it was just like a silhouette, or like a, you know, like a shadow of what Spider-Man was. Pretty cool. Okay, so see how the colors are coming together, you guys? See how using, I mean, you don't have to use black all the time. See, like right in here, this blue, I'm gonna come in and just, I'm gonna go over the black with the blue, and it's gonna make it even darker. Look at that. Oh no, what did I do? Crap. No, it's all right. It's all right, I'm in control of this. It's not the boss of me. I'm its boss. If I wanted to get really crazy, I could come in here and add even more musculature. I'm not gonna. I am not. I refuse. But I could. Okay? Because again, we get back to seeing why that comic books are not inked in marker, because I don't know if you see those lines. See where it's not a solid dark, is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say ever so eloquently. But look what happens when I go back over it with that dark blue. Boom! It's pretty cool. Yeah, even then, it's not exactly 100% black. That's what you really want. So that's pretty cool. So maybe one of these times I'll talk about Venom. But just in review, guys, if you're burning out, remember the 3 steps: recognize and pause. Admit it to yourself. Hey, I'm burning out. I'm having a hard time. My last little bit, I'm gonna deviate from the norm here. I keep interrupting myself. I'm just gonna go with a ballpoint to put the fine lines in here. I always test it up here in the corner. Looking good. So getting back to our topic, talking about burnout. Recovering from burnout, guys. Three steps: recognize and pause, rest and restore, and rebuild and connect, setting good boundaries with yourself and others. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna come in here, and we're gonna make, we know that center line, remember our lines orientation? Remember when we were orienting the head, and I said it was like an axis, but it does this inverted Y here on his face, and it's got this cool little webby thing in there. Yeah. All right. So we can kind of follow that. And remember, when you make the lines, when you're making the lines for Spider-Man, and I don't know if you can even see this, so I'm going to zoom in, okay? Bear with me. Here we go. Oh, look at that. It's so close. It's uncomfortably close. I think I'm too close. It's kind of fuzzy. There we go. If you're wondering what I record on, I have a Pixel 7 Pro. Not that it's the cutting edge Pixel phone, but it's a Pro. Anyway, there we go. So see what I'm doing there? See how I'm, watch here. I'm not making a straight line. I'm gonna bend it with his head. See, just like that. Cool? We're gonna do it again. And don't worry about, I'm just eyeballing it, obviously, because I erased my lines, didn't I? Something I forgot to do though. Whoops, let's stop. Let's hit pause. Because what I want to do is I want to add some highlights. So I'm gonna come in here with, I got a Sharpie acrylic marker. But before I do that, I want to add some highlights to the red. Okay, so it's not a major deal, but just for my own aesthetics. I got myself a Prismacolor. It's not a color ace, it's a premium. And this is a carmine red. It looks almost like an orange. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here and just add it ever so subtly. And it might not make a shred of difference to you, but to me, I can see the difference already. And what I want to do is, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to add a little bit of light. It helps you, it just helps, all the stuff that we did with the dark, that dark color, we're actually making it so instead of it just being like a generic red, you have some texture going on. Now I could have gotten a white. I hesitate to use a white or a pink. I want to use something closer in the color wheel to red, and naturally it's going to be a lighter red, if not an orange. I could have used orange, but this is, you guys, seriously, this is close enough. Because remember what I was telling you earlier on another video? I said just because it says red, it doesn't mean it's red. This to me is, it looks like an orange, but it's still in the red family. All right. Again, it's not too major. It's not too, but it adds a subtlety. I'm going to come in and again, at the end of the day, it might not matter. And I know that in other videos, maybe, I'm not trying to be a hypocrite, because in other videos I'm like, hey, it doesn't matter, just as long as you're happy or whatever. But for me, for me to be happy, especially with the color, I'm going to add it. So just kick back. I'm going to take the driver's seat here for a minute. Just let me drive. So anyway, I had to do that. I had to do that. I feel better. Okay. So now I'm going to come in and I'm going to do some highlights. Now I got one of two ways to do that. I got my acrylic. Now, the reason why I'm using this acrylic marker is it's not real, strong. Like some of that color is going to come through, and that's exactly what I want. Okay. Now what I'm going to do too is I'm going to add a little bit of colored pencil too. So on the utmost edges, it's going to be the lightest. And then I'm going to come in and try to subtly, you know what? I'm not going to do that on the blue pants. Nope, I'm not. Whoops. Caught myself. So I'm just going to add these little areas where I think it might be where the light might show up, okay? So on the hands, again, maybe like right in here, maybe toward this edge. We've got a lot there. This hand, maybe like right there. Maybe right there. Okay, all right. So, again, this muscle right here. Whoops, let's Let's do that. Kind of like a bigger area over here. Let's make that chunk so you can kind of see. Remember, it's contours, guys. We want to try to contour it to the muscles, the muscle groups that are already there. Now I could get crazy and I could get like all shadowy on the eyes, but we've already identified that I can't be trusted. So what I'm going to do, just add a little bit. So technically, I'm going to add my lines, my web lines last. But see, look at this. Now I'm doing a complementary, and see how this complements and softens the edge of that marker? Pretty cool, huh? It's a cool technique. You can do this in the privacy of your own home. That's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, kids, boys and girls. Easy to do. It's really easy. I got a lot of tricks for making your art. See, look at that. Look how that softens that. Isn't that great? So watch, I'm gonna do it again over here. Just kind of pow, just kind of, and again, I'm just pushing on the edge of it. Isn't that cool? Yeah, man. Yeah, coloring is definitely my zone. You know, and what my, you know, because honestly, I think I've mentioned this in another video. It's like sometimes, you know, people are leaning over your shoulder. Is that good? Oops, sorry. I had a funny memory. I was teaching children's church one time. I think these were like 6th grade kids, 5th or 6th grade. So what does that make them, like 11 or 12? And I'm drawing a Bible story on the dry erase board, and I'm going real fast and just, you know, drawing stick people and drawing these goofy little characters. And this question from this little girl, man, stuck with me. It still makes me laugh today. She's like, "Are you doing your best?" And I just laughed. I was like, "No, this isn't my best. But my best takes too long." You know. I'm gonna add real light, just real light white in here, guys. I don't want to screw it up, okay? So, but look at that. Can you see the, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Forgive me, please. Can you guys see how that just changes the whole, look at that. So it's almost like layers and layers, like I'm going, so I went really with the hard white, right? And then I'm kind of a little bit of a heavier accent, and now I'm just doing this like little light, subtle kind of haze. Almost like a shadowing kind of thing, right? Just kind of, and again, this isn't, none of what I do is like traditional comic art, guys. It's not traditional at all. The guys that are like making real money from this would probably be like, oh my God, well, it's pretty good for amateur art. And you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. But they wouldn't do it because, again, when money's on the line, you don't want to be screwing around with some experimental kind of goofy technique. Now, you know what I'm going to do? Remember this area I said I was going to leave white? I'm going to throw, oh, look at that. Look at that. That's cool. Now, that's black in there, so can you see? Okay, good. Boom. Nice, because you can do a lot. You guys can do a lot. And just real subtle, real gentle. I forgot how Bob Ross said it, but when he would say just like, oh yeah, he would be like, it's like a feather. And I dig that vibe. I dig it. All right. Whoops, wrong way. See, now you can kind of see it. Now it's up close a little bit. You can kind of see what I did. And you can actually see the texture of the colored pencil versus the marker. Well, whatever. So I'm going to just pick an area. Now remember, when we go like this, we want to keep it going in the same direction. So all the web, again, the webbing is going to be, because again, you know, again, it's got certain rules to it, right? So we're going to find wherever those little marks go like that. Boom, boom, boom. Should I make one more in the middle? Yeah, I'm going to. Okay. And do the same thing right down here. We're going to go boom, boom, boom. And look how easy that is. That's easy. You just got to make them go the right direction. I remember one time I wasn't paying attention and I made one go in the wrong direction and I was like, no. And it is probably before I had all my tricks of the trade figured out. See, this one's great. This line's just going to go straight down. Straight down his abdomen there, which, yeah. So basically, you just repeat. This is the longest video out of the series. Apologize. I was kind of hoping to wrap this up in a half hour, but we've had a lot of fun, right? A lot of good stuff to say. Now, one thing I do want to do, let's focus on a hand. I don't think I'm going to do all of it. I'm not going to do all those lines. Now, if this thing will work and focus. Oops, there we go. Okay. Now, one of the coolest things about Spider-Man is his hands down in here. Adjust my lighting a little bit because my cast shadow is kind of a bummer. And I know I talked about doing a shadow. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Let's do a hand right here. So typically one line comes down right here because it always leaves off where that glove is. And there's another one right in here, okay? And then they kind of turn. And it gets really tricky. But here's the cool thing. This is the thing that I love to do, is his fingers get these little circles. And that, I don't know, that's super satisfying to me. I don't know why. And the end of his thumb, it's like a little circle. So can you see that? Isn't that cool? It's super easy once you know how. Okay? Super easy. And that line is going to kind of come down and just kind of bend down there. So naturally, I'm going to make sure these are going the right direction. I am. Now I'm pausing because I'm tripping out. Like, uh-oh. Well, screw it. Let's just do the fingers for now. I'm not too eager to wrap this time up with you guys, but I think maybe I'll do a foot too. So now that we're both over here, but look, watch this. So I can kind of peel this up into here and just boom, boom. Ah, yeah. Just like that. So right here, we're going to connect it just like that. And I think I could have taken, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because he's got some meaty wrists here. Let's just, oh God. Oh Lord. Look at that. So correcting it on the fly. Now that up close looks kind of iffy, but you let that dry a minute, it's going to be okay. And then we'll put a line in there. Excuse me. I'm all excited. I'm not going to wait. Just put that right in there. There we go. Boom. And again, that was with the ballpoint. One of the other cool thing we could do, I didn't think about this until like right now. Is I could have used, like if I wanted to get super, super detailed, I could have put red in here. And you might be like, red? Clearly it is not red. It's black, sir. But, you know, is what it is, right? Okay, so let's do the foot. And the foot does have like the, let's bring it to the toe right there. The foot has some cool lines on it too. So they'll come down. Again, you got your horizontal and vertical lines, right? And it does the same thing. It spreads kind of like where your toes are, how your tendons are under the skin. That's how it's gonna work for Spidey as well. And again, we don't have to get lost in the weeds here and get all crazy. I don't have to do every stinking line, and I'm not gonna, but I think you guys get the gist. Just remember, wherever you decide to put your lines, just for consistency's sake, for continuity, you want to repeat that. So anyway, yeah, how fun. Well, this has been pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I really appreciate you being here with me tonight. I was talking about burnout and reconnecting, getting reconnected to ourselves. This is so stimulating for me on a whole unique level, you guys. And I talk about this because, I was a recent victim of burnout myself. I've totally had to just stop my routine and reinvent what I was going to do with my life. And it might sound kind of serious, and it kind of is. Kind of nuts. But one of the things I tell myself is, God has a plan. When things are going nuts, I can always trust that things are not too nuts for him. Look at that. I just can't stop. I can't stop myself. I can't do it, guys. I want to stop the video, but I know I better not. So see, I'm basically bringing it down. Okay, fine. You talked me into it. We'll keep going just on this side. See, so we want to follow that line that we brought down here, and we're going to contour. Contour right around, see where the because there's muscles there. Come on. Now this one's going to fade off. I'll pull that one off to the side. Boom, boom. Okay. Now if your lines get a little weird, if they start going the wrong directions, that's okay. Just remember, try to make it, look at that. Oof, right where that highlight is, that looks super cool. Look at that. Oh yeah. Very cool. Again, I'm just going to town, just being free with it now. But you guys, I think we're gonna wrap it there, but here, let's get a bigger shot of this, because I kind of went down. So that one side, look at that. That is a blast. That's a lot of fun. But you guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. If this is the kind of content that you like, please like and subscribe. I would love for you to be part of the family. I'm up to like 40 subscribers now, 40-ish. And I want to give you guys some good content. I want you to be blessed. So with that said, I hope things are going good for you. I pray for everybody who's subscribed. And I hope things are well. I hope things are well for you. So until next time, protect your mind. Stay sane out there. And get your rest. Have a great night.